touchdown.
The route, and Randy Moss, without even really being able to run, as he shoots the moon to the
pass, pumps to the left, 8 seconds left. He gets away from the pressure, fires to the end zone. It's caught! It's Greg Lewis! Oh my heavens! Greg Lewis's first catch has given the Minnesota.
Four, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, what's up, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to another episode here of House Calls with Skull Doc, brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk. Joining me, as always, is Dave, and we are ready for some playoff football that we are breaking down today. Let's go, Dave.
I got a little bit of a fix today. I only listened to them on the radio, but all 4 games, and we finally got a good one with the Tampa Bay and the Commanders. So yeah, that was good. I mean, and I didn't want to go into our game with the only road team, with every road team losing. So I feel a little bit better that the jinx was done with the Commanders winning.
Yeah, man. It was kind of an interesting spot today for Vikings fans with the Packers game playing at Eagles. And the fan base is kind of split based on some tweets I saw today with some polls. It was kind of 50-50 on who do you want to win that game, because there was the scenario where if the Packers win and the Commanders win and the Vikings are able to get past the Rams, which is what we're going to break down today, that they would get the next home playoff game against the Commanders. Well, the Packers laid an egg. Jordan Love has been bad all year, and he was bad again today. And the Eagles pretty much worked them. Now, the Eagles didn't look great, really, offensively either. So they kind of kept the Packers in.
Defensively, they did.
They did, yes. The defense looked great. But offensively, the Eagles looked beatable until late when they got that run game really going against the Packers.
Yeah.
But then the Commanders pulled it off against Tampa, and the Commanders look pretty good. So as it sits right now, if the Vikings can pull out a win, they will be on the road to Philadelphia next weekend.
Which I don't feel so bad about, because the last time we went to Philly, the only reason that we probably lost that game is because of the crazy turnovers we were having problems with the last time we went there. So we went there with some success this last time that we were there. So honestly, I preferred to play Philly over the Lions again.
This was my preferred scenario after the Packers had lost.
Yeah.
Because you knew at that point that you were going to be playing either Philadelphia or Detroit. If you win tomorrow, if you can beat the Rams. And in my mind, I would like the Commanders to still be in it versus Tampa Bay, because that's the last seed that's below us. And that keeps the option open that the Commanders could go into Detroit, and it's not likely, they're not going to be favored, but if they beat Detroit and the Vikings beat Philadelphia next week, the NFC Championship game would be in Minnesota. We would host the NFC Championship game against the Commanders. And although that's not the likely outcome, I like that that's still an opportunity for the Vikings.
And I'm completely fine rooting for the Commanders. I'm completely fine. That's the team I can root for if they're playing the Lions or the Packers or the Bears. It's pretty easy sell for me.
Yeah, and in the more likely scenario where, let's say we go to Philly and we take care of business in Philly after we've beaten the Rams, then you're likely going to Detroit, right? And there's that old adage, it's hard to beat a divisional opponent 3 times. And, at that point in time, we would have been absolutely battle-tested playing Philly and the Rams winning both games. So at that point, it's just bring it on, right? And hopefully Darnold's much more ready for the big moment there, and they're not going to be surprised by all the zero blitzes that Detroit may throw at them at that point in time. So, but first things first, we got to take care of business.
Yeah, I could already feel like
in
the
Arizona.
comments. I already feel like the comments are like, don't look past the Rams. We're not.
We're
But
not just
one
looking at
last thing.
scenarios.
The schedule's already set. We would play the early game if we beat the Rams on Sun. We would play on Sunday and play the early game. And the
Oh, is that
Buffalo,
true? That came
yeah,
out?
yeah, Buffalo Bills. They put it on Westwood One. The Buffalo Bills would play the
Ravens.
Ravens Sunday, the later game on Sunday as the
Okay.
finale.
There's going to be 2 Saturday games as well, correct?
Yeah. I can't remember who plays first, though.
So that's going to be the Lions game and the Chiefs game, correct?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I assume the Chiefs would play the later game.
So the Minnesota Vikings are locked into if they beat the Rams, they're going to play at
Sunday.
Philly Sunday at noon is what we're looking at.
Which makes sense because we are playing Monday night, which, you know, we lose a day on everybody else, but
Yeah, that the NFL was going to take care of the Rams or the Vikings and give them that extra day. There's no way they were going to make them play on Monday and then play on Saturday.
yeah, that'd been. I still don't like the fact that they had us play on Monday.
I do. We needed that extra day after playing Detroit last Sunday night.
Well, I mean,
Rams are well rested.
I expect to beat the Rams. That's
Monday.
why I expect to beat the Rams. Want an extra day rest and play. Well, anyways, yeah. So, either way, it works out pretty good. It works out pretty good.
I don't think we've actually talked. We haven't had an episode since the game has been moved. And so first and foremost, I just want to send my prayers and my, well wishes to everyone out in LA who's been affected. Almost everybody knows someone out there in that area, and it's just absolutely terrible what's going on there. And I hope that they, get that contained and no more destruction occurs, because it's been just incredibly terrible. Like seeing the videos and everything that's going on out there, just truly, just absolutely gut wrenching to see what's going on out there. And not just, you see these things about celebrity houses and stuff, but the everyday people with families losing their homes. Terrible to see. And at the end of the day, that's what matters in life, right? Family, certainly not football, but there is a football aspect to this. And we saw that when the line changed from Vegas, when this game got moved from the LA to Arizona, the line jumped from the Vikings being 1.5 point favorites to now 3-point favorites. So Vegas does expect this to help the Vikings. And it might be a Vikings home game. You know what I mean? It might be more Vikings fan than actual Rams fans at this game.
I did
all
see
the
that
out there.
I did see a report put out by the Rams that 35,000 tickets were sold to season ticket holders for the Rams.
Yeah, but then I saw a lot of those tickets available on the secondary market. So
yeah,
they're probably gonna. Hey, and this is a time where they could use the money. Some of those people out there, right, who may know someone who's affected by the fires or who may be directly affected by the fires, like this is going to help them. So I wouldn't be surprised that we're going to see at least a split, probably maybe a little bit more Vikings fans. And then, of course, you're going to have some Cardinals fans getting their hands on tickets there. And they're probably not rooting their division rival, right? They're going to be rooting for the Vikings. They're going to be getting loud or at least indifferent and not making noise when the Vikings have the ball. So,
yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Arizona were given availability. Like Arizona fans were given availability for tickets.
They were. So what happened was at a certain time, they opened the market for LA fans. And then after a few hours, they opened the market for Arizona season ticket holders. And then I believe they finally opened the market for some Vikings season ticket holders.
And if I'm not mistaken, I did see on Twitter that some of the fans were bragging that they knew the code and used it to get in the other to get into those purchasing times. Like there was a code for LA or something, and some fans were bragging about it. So.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings travel well. This is an easier place to travel to for Minnesotans. So I expect
retirees out there.
Yeah, I expect this to really benefit the Vikings. And again, I hate to it's a football show. We're breaking down the football game. The caveat is out there that we feel terrible for LA and the people of LA. And you know what? If they beat us, if the Rams beat the Minnesota Vikings, a small part of me will feel good for the LA people because they kind of, they need something to take their mind off the terrible things that are happening out there.
Yeah, I don't think.
So,
I think with the Vikings fans and the Rams fans, they've been pretty good to each other this week,
oh yeah,
and to shout out to Jason Harmon, who I asked to interview this next week. He said he's going to come on. He'd love to. I said, win or lose, come on my show. I wanted him to talk about and just pay him a little bit of tribute to the way he's been like a complete ambassador for our fan base. If you're not following him, he's on Twitter, but he's just been a really good fan, and it just so happens that the game's coming to Arizona where he lives, and he's telling everybody where to go, and so he's just been a really ambassador, and he's raised. I think he's raised money. He gave $200 to the the Lions because he lost the bet. He gave $200 to their charity, and then the guy turned around and just gave 200 to ours. So it's kind of he's been such an ambassador for our fan club. So we're gonna try to get him on next week.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, I think I saw his tweet just saying if you see a Rams fan,
Buy him a beer and
buy him a beer,
shake their hand.
you shake them hand, wish them luck, and offer condolences, and just be a good human towards them because they need it right now, man. They need some love. So, with that said, let's jump into the game here. We've played the Rams. It's funny because our 2 losses early in the season, we lost at home by 2 to Detroit, and then we turned around on a short visit, went out to LA, and we lost that game, back-to-back losses. And then, of course, we lost week 18 with a complete no-show by the offense just last week. And here we go again, back out to proverbial LA, but actually Glendale, Arizona. And but it's much different this time around because it's not going to be short rest this time, and the defense is actually going to be prepared for Puka Nacua this time around. Flores had told us that they were actually surprised and didn't do a lot of work on Nacua because they didn't think he was going to play. He wasn't practicing. It was a short week on a Thursday night, and it surprised all of us. And he came out. Not only did he play, he played well, and he was vital in their quick passing game, which was their way to beat the Vikings' pressure looks. And the defense is just going to have a different plan of attack against this offense. It can't be the same thing this time.
Yeah, and we would talk about this in the earlier show this week that it wasn't our defense or it wasn't our offense that was a problem that game. It was definitely our defense.
Yeah, our offense came out and scored 2 touchdowns back to back. Couldn't start the game any better. It was surgical. And the defense was just a complete no-show. In fact, I remember specifically thinking the cornerbacks that night were just horrendous.
Yeah.
They were real bad.
Gilmore's worst game, I think, and it was bad.
Just no willingness to tackle. There was guys running wide open. They were giving so much cushion.
I think Cashman early, just we're still early in without Cashman. We're without Cashman and stuff. So it was a big difference. Difference in our defense.
Absolutely. And you remember that game, Matthew Stafford hit that dagger route over the middle without Cashman in there like 6 times, just over and over and over, just kept hitting that dagger route. It was like
watching Donishell again.
Yeah. So big difference this go around. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. So let's talk about the Vikings defense against that LA offense. The LA offense has been efficient, but not overly intimidating, is what I would say. The Vikings defense ended up finishing the game 17th in yards, 28th in passing yards, 2nd against the run, 5th in points, and then 4th in third down percentage. Comparing that to the Rams offense, they were tied for 15th in yards, 10th in passing yards, 24th in rushing yards, 20th in points, and 23rd in third down percentage. So I do, if you had to ask me what side of the ball I feel more confident in regards to the Vikings comparing against the Rams, I'm more confident in our defense slowing down the Rams offense than I am with our offense against the Rams defense. And a part of that is probably still a sour taste in my mouth from last week in Detroit. But I do think that this is a different defense on more rest than what the Rams saw the first go around.
And this is how they finished. Played well, they had a 44-42 game against the Bills. But then they won 12-6 against the Niners. They went 19-9 against the Jets and won. Cardinals, they won 13-9. And then they bounced back a little bit, but still lost to the Seahawks 30-25 at home.
Yeah, you said the Seahawks lost. They were resting starters though. That's not a real. But yeah, like you said, their defense has really come on strong lately. Really strong. Jared Verse is a hell of a player as a rookie. What's Brandon Fisk? I think his name is the defensive tackle that they have is great at producing pressure from in the middle. It's actually scares me a lot with Blake Brandel there. He's going to have to play much better than he did last week. But in the secondary, they're very average. They can be had. If there's a respectable amount of protection for Sam Darnold, that defense can be had.
Yeah, I would say their draft was pretty good. I remember liking Fisk and then Jared Verse, and they got Jared Verse, and then second round got Fisk. So yeah, that was a pretty good draft.
Defensively for the Vikings this game, the key is going to be, in my opinion, limit the running game with Kyron Williams. He's a good back. They like to slice you for 5 yards a pop. They don't get a lot of long runs, but they will slice you for 5 yards a pop. Limit the screens. They run a lot of wide receiver screens, a lot of tight end screens, and then shut down the quick passing game. They're going to try to get the ball out to Nakua and to Cooper Kupp on the quick passing game. And you have to be willing to tackle against this offense because they're going to try to beat you in space. Stephon Gilmore is going to have to tackle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about Murphy Jr. anymore. He's just been so solid all year. Early on, first like couple games, I was like bitching about him, but he's changed my mind completely, and I feel like he's almost like a must resign.
I totally agree with you. If you had to have someone to re-sign between Cam Bynum or Byron Murphy Jr., it's Byron Murphy Jr. all day.
I saw that posted. Someone put that question out there like a week ago, and I was like, Murphy Jr. I mean,
all day. We got Theo Jackson waiting in the background here. I'd like to see him play, and I think you can save some money there and go out and buy another corner. So like you can pay Byron Murphy Jr., and then you can also go out there and get DJ Reed, in my opinion. Then you got Mekhi Blackman coming back, McLaughlin, another year of development. I kind of like where that room is if you can bring Byron Murphy Jr. back and then sign one more outstanding free agent there. Yeah, this defense could really be humming.
Yeah, we're gonna have cap room, especially if you don't extend Sam Darnold, and giving me watching Jaden Daniels or listening to him actually play. I haven't really watched a whole lot of tape of him, but just knowing what he's done, just highlights and stuff like that, gives me kind of hope. That a guy can come in and make a difference like that.
Yeah, I retweeted. If you look at my Twitter at @skull_doc, I retweeted a graph tonight that shows effective cap space, and you basically want to be in the top right corner of that graph, and that's exactly where the Vikings are. They have a ton of cap space going into next year, and this takes into account some restructures and things that you can do. So we are at a good spot heading into free agency, but we can get even better. So I expect just a big aggressive effort in free agency by Kwesi this offseason.
And we're just a destination for free agents now, and they know it. The word is out.
Not only is the word out, we continue to kill the surveys, the NFLPA surveys that go out there, but now we have a winning culture with a consensus top 5 NFL head coach,
an elite dance squad.
Facilities that are just second to none. People are going to want to come play football. Yeah. People are going to want to come play football for the Minnesota Fighting Vikings. I tell you that.
100. I've been saying we've been a destination franchise ever since I started a YouTube channel. 3 years running here. I've been saying we're a destination franchise because of who we hired. And and again, we've had this culture it's funny with Zimmer, we had the culture with the players, but the culture, in the, from the leadership, from the the coaching side of things, just wasn't there. But we had the players.
Right.
We had that culture with the players. Now it's defensive players like Zimmer, but it just wasn't throughout the whole team. Now it's throughout the whole team.
Yep.
And you could tell right away, with the way O'Connell and everybody gravitating to him, and him putting him empowering a Cousins or empowering a defensive, player, defensive captain. He just empowered them, which it wasn't maybe the case in the previous administration. So it's like, and now it's just building and building, and now we're almost at a crescendo right now of how the culture is just developed.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Um, let's go on to Vikings offense against Rams defense. And the big question here is, can they bounce back from the no-show? All right. Are the Rams going to play copycat a little bit of what Detroit did to us last week and send more pressure at us than they typically do? Now, typically the Rams are a team that like to send four. They don't like to blitz. But Darnold really struggled against it last week. So I'll be interested to see if they do try to send a little bit more pressure. Their pressure leader is Jared Verse, as we talked about, but Brandon Fisk can also get after the passer. Wouldn't mind seeing a little help to Cam Robinson on the left side. We're coming off a game where Cam Robinson gave up 8 pressures, I believe it was 8 or 9 pressures, and Brandel also gave up a ton of pressure. Bradbury gave up some pressure. So this offense needs to rebound. This offensive line needs to rebound. And it's all going to start in the red zone. You got to score touchdowns in the red zone in the playoffs.
Now, I really put a lot of weight on Darnold could have fixed that by making a couple of those throws and making him think twice about blitzing all the time. So it's like, I'm if Darnold could fix what he did, I think will be a more balanced, more um, dangerous to them, that they wouldn't blitz. Like if we were playing the Lions, if we could change the clock and Sam's throwing darts instead, uh, I think the Lions would have to back off. And I think if Sam plays better and is more accurate, and makes those throws he's been making all season, yeah, I think it's a different story. And I think it just centers on Sam rebounding, honestly, Justin Jefferson, he makes a catch like that. He's made tough catches. He did not make that one in the back of the end zone. That would have helped. We didn't exactly help Sam Darnold either, but it was mostly Sam Darnold's fault. But that would have went a long ways, getting that touchdown in the back of the end zone like that.
Yeah, Wes Phillips talked this week about when you have a game like that, when the entire offense is kind of a no-show. He talked about how it's not just one player, it's all the players, and it seems like they take turns. Who's going to fuck up on this play, right? And that's what we saw. One play, it was Cam Robinson. The next play, it was Brandel. And this pressure affected Sam Darnold greatly. And he got a little rattled. His timing got messed up. He was high from the get-go. I mean, Sam, like you said, Sam deserves a lot of the blame as well. And he couldn't get right. And I think that even shook our head coach to a point where he's like, how do I call this game right now? You're like, what can we do to right the ship? How can we get him some confidence? And I just think that it was a failure on everybody's behalf, right? So
And I was pretty optimistic too, because when Aaron Jones was making something out of nothing, like he would no hole, he flip around and you'd get like 3 yards at least. I felt really good about what Aaron Jones was doing, and then we were driving a little bit on that first drive, but then he overthrew T.J. Hawkinson, and then it just spiraled from there.
It was not a disaster between the 20s. The Vikings got into the red zone multiple times. They just couldn't finish. And that was the entire story of that game. If they finish in the red zone, even on half of those opportunities, it was at least a ball game. The Lions still probably win, but it was a ball game. So in this venue, in Glendale, Arizona, I don't think it's going to be enough to rattle Sam Darnold. I think the Vikings offense will be able to operate. Are there going to be some drives where the pressure gets to Darnold and we're going to have to punt? Yes, it's going to happen. It's not going to be perfect. The defensive front for the Rams is very good. But there's going to be some drives, I think, where we block it up and it looks really well and we score some touchdowns. I do expect to score some touchdowns this week.
Yeah, I'm expecting a bounce back. I mean, it's neutral field, and it's just you coming off that shit game. You got your nerves out of the. Someone said like this is the worst possible time to play like this. I'm like, no, playoffs the worst possible time. This is actually, thank God it happened now to me. That's the way I felt. Thank God it happened now and not in the first round of the playoffs. So I took that as a plus coming out of this, is that we got that. And we were how many games did we win in a row? 8?
Yes.
Yeah, we would have had to win 12 in a row to win the Super Bowl. That's
Tough to
it's
do.
like we have to get that. We have to be brought down to earth a little bit, and we weren't. We haven't been, and I'd much rather have home field advantage and all, and I would have lived with I would have lived with that. But yeah, anyways,
yeah, the stakes were pretty high for that game because just your odds of making the Super Bowl, it was a huge swing, and that's why it hurt to have that no show. But you're right, it
the Commanders are going to beat the Lions.
It was an unfortunate time for the no show, but it wasn't the worst time for the no show because we do get to play in a tournament game against the Rams, and I think they're going to be ready. So yes, it was funny. Dan Campbell says to KOC during the handshake after the game, "We'll see you in 2 weeks." And the Rams fucking print it out and make it a poster and slap it on their locker room wall as disrespect, right? Thanks, Dan Campbell, for the locker room talk or the locker room material, you ass. But now it's not even true.
Yeah, it's not even true. You might as well take it down now.
Right, because the winner goes to Philly. But
sorry, Rams.
That was
kind of motivation.
Yeah, that was kind of funny though.
That was one of the first things I thought about. Hey, now they don't. Now that shit won't work. It probably still will.
So let's talk about like just levels of confidence with how you see this game going. To me, I see the defense being good. I think they're going to step up. I do worry a little bit about the quick passing game still. The corners are going to have to get up and cover and stop that quick passing game. But Matthew Stafford against pressure this year has been the worst quarterback in football. So if you can make him hold on to the football, he will probably throw you the football. But I remember thinking that last time about this Rams team has a bad offensive line, and we couldn't pressure him the first time. You remember that?
Yeah. We're that's all we talked about. On Twitter and stuff is like they have a bad offensive line and we can't get any pressure on them. And again, we're short week and all that. It's like, yeah, we just couldn't get to him.
Now we're gonna be sending Cashman, one of our best loopers, like in the blitz game. So it's going to be a little bit different. Dallas Turner's going to have a little bit bigger role going after him now.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah. So hopefully they can bring more pressure than we were able to send at them the last time they faced. That will be big.
Now it looks like injury reports. They have Rob Havenstein and Hunter Long full practice. Otherwise, they don't have anybody out. Yeah, we got Pat Jones out. We got Tiamani questionable. Cam Akers questionable with an illness. Ty Chandler's full practice again. Aaron Jones full practice. Darnold full practice. Moreau full practice. Josh Oliver full practice. And then Smith and Gilmore just don't practice. They're old.
Yeah. Both teams pretty healthy going into this one. Cam Akers expected to play. Pat Jones is the only person that is out.
And that's why we're going to see Dallas Turner more.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. Any other aspect of the game that you want to break down? We've kind of seen it before, right? And it's just about who's going to go out there, make plays, protect the football, and win the football game. I think it's going to be a tight one. 3-point Vikings are favored by 2.5, over under a 47.5. Might come down to a kick.
I mean, this is a team early in the year, like they were out. nobody gave them a chance, and then they went on a run just like we went on a run.
Well, they weren't healthy in the first part of the year. Remember when the
True.
Bears and the Packers played them? They didn't have their two main receivers. Puka and Cooper Kupp were out. And this was just a different team. And then so they start 1-4 with a big negative point differential at that point in time. And then they turn it around and they win a bunch of games in a row. I think they went 8-2 to end the season or something like that, minus the Seahawks game. And they were a good team, playing great defense, playing efficient offense. So a lot of people kind of look at their negative point differential and say that they might not, they might be one of the weaker teams in the playoffs, but I think they're actually pretty strong.
Well, they can be. I just thought my point earlier with the last four games of the season. Of course, you said they rested their players in the last game, but it just wasn't that big of an offensive output by them, and so it's just like I was glad to see that, knowing that they were going into the playoffs, not really necessarily on a high note. They just, the teams they played, just didn't score very much. It's just I was pretty happy to see that. It gives me hope that we could go in and shut this team down just like other teams did. I feel like if we give them 19 points, we should win that game. And that's all they were scoring was 19 or less those three games in a row. So
I agree. Just going to come down to the red zone. We got to score touchdowns.
Now, if we had, I know I brought this up. If we had Derrick Henry, I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, listen, Derrick Henry's going to make you better. But what I would say is if we had Trey Smith at right guard, might be able to run the damn football inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah, we the great thing is we got some money to spend in this offseason.
Yeah, I don't know.
We need to get a guy that's a road grader.
I would think so too. But we'll see. Kwesi's the economics guy, and he may just view that as a position where he tries to wants to fill it with a cheap option because it may not be the best place to drop your money. But you know what else we need? We need some corners, penetrating defensive tackle badly. We need some interior pass rush very, very badly.
100. It's still the same thing. Interior pass rush, D tackle, guard, center. Bradbury's been pretty good. He's been good. Just he goes up against a tough matchup. He's going to get pushed in the backfield.
It's just too
Randall's
easy.
The same deal. He's good. You bring up the point that he loses slowly,
right?
Which is good. And then Brandel, he's just playing out of position. He's a backup tackle.
Yeah, he's backup. You're right. With Bradbury, it's just too easy to scheme against him. You put a big fat ass nose tackle right on top of him, and he's ineffective. Can't do anything.
Yeah.
Including his special power, which is run blocking, reach blocking. He gets pushed back into the backfield and you can't run the football because you have penetration by the defense.
Yeah, his nickname was the Grim Reacher.
The Grim Reacher.
I haven't seen much of that.
Nope. Well, you want to pick the game?
Well, let's pick our over-under. Okay, so we both were high on Jefferson doing a comeback. What was your feelings on this?
You just can't keep the GOAT down, man. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to get his. And come playoff time, you need your superstars to be superstars. And I think he goes over 100.
Dude should have had 2 or 3 touchdowns this last game. Jordan Addison, I went under. I felt like we really leaned on TJ Hawkinson, just didn't get him the ball this last game. And the fact that he had 1 catch for 0 yards. I picked the odd man out, went with Addison to go under 58.5. Not that he's going to be ineffective. He still might score a touchdown. I just think we really started to look like lean on Hawkinson, even though, again, we weren't accurate with the ball. What did you think?
I just have a feeling that we see one of those deep shots to Addison this game, and he gets free, and he either gets the PI call or he brings the ball in. I think that for the last half of the season here, Addison's been on fire, and he had a slow game in Detroit, but I also see him with some big catches, and I think he clears 60 yards.
And I'd be the happiest guy in the world being wrong. TJ Hawkinson, I just kind of explained what I thought about that. It's a low number. We both picked over. And again, he would have been over that if he was just if Sam was just more accurate this last game.
Yeah, obviously I'm picking for a bounce back. And I think that TJ he's the missing piece. He wasn't there the first time that we played the Rams, and now he is. So this is just another reason where I think the Vikings are going to go in and play better against the Rams than they did the first time around. And I picked the over because what was it, 43.5? I just feel like that's a low number for TJ. I think he can clear that.
Yeah, and some people are, and you know who you are out there, or crapping on him after the game, and I'm like, it wasn't Hawkinson's fault at all in that game.
Those were
He was
not accurate
open.
footballs. Yeah, they weren't accurate.
Yeah, Aaron Jones. I went over. This is one where I kind of want to win under, but honestly, Cam Akers' illness will bother me a little bit. I do feel like it's going to be a little more 60-40 pass run, to where he'll get enough carries and again, potentially break one. You told me they were like 22nd in run defense, so it kind of put me over the top a little bit with that news. So, and yeah, another bounce back game. I felt like if we were more accurate and we were scoring touchdowns, Jones could have had a 100-yard game last game. Like we would have just leaned on him the rest of the game, but we didn't. We were terrible in the red zone, and we didn't score, so we went away from it. I think after the Akers long run, we probably run 2 or 3 more times in the whole second half. It was crazy, but that's what I think about Jones. Is there's a bounce back here.
This is a tough one for me. I chose the under. Just because our coach likes to throw the football, and I feel like Aaron's been hitting the under the last few games. We haven't been running the football super effectively, but I'd be really happy to be wrong because if the Vikings are running the football well, that means that they're controlling clock and first downs and probably winning this football game.
Yeah, and I felt like that's where we're headed with the Lions game the way we started, but no. Sam Darnold 265. I grudgingly went over on this one. You picked first, so I decided not to be too different than you. I was pretty 50-50 on this one. I just felt like maybe it would just be right around there. I felt like a little high number. Both you and I thought it would be after, way you played last week, that would be lower. But we both went over. Why'd you go over?
Again, I expect the bounce back. The reason I was a little worried about this was just because the Rams with their front four, they can get after you. It's a pretty good front. So I am going to need the Vikings to pass block like they pass blocked against the Packers a couple weeks ago to really feel good about this number. With that said, the Rams secondary is not all that skilled, and I do think that we can throw on them. And Sam Darnold had a pretty good day the first time around on them. So I picked the over, just really playing the bounce back game. I think the Vikings are going to come in and roll.
I switched my answer to Skoldock's answers on that one, so but we both picked over. Jared Goff is not playing. So this is actually this is not Jared Goff. This is Matt Stafford.
The number's also 243.5.
So let me fix that. I didn't hit save. 243.5. Yeah, that's production value. 243.5. You picked the under. Why'd you pick the under?
I just expect this defense to come in and ball, man. I think they're gonna look so much better than the last time that we played the Rams.
Yeah, I just think they're gonna be. You picked the under. You said
I did. Yeah, I expect our defense to be really good.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I misheard you. I was too busy spelling Stafford here. But yeah, I again, I think it's more of one of those things where they got to come back on us. Oh, and they did throw the ball quite a bit last game, and I think they're just gonna have to throw. I feel like they're gonna have to throw, and that's why it's gonna be one of those things that he throws damn near 40 times, if not more.
And it could be, yeah.
And he has done that in his life. He's been known to do that, throw a lot, and it's more of like it's just an accounting stat for him at this point that he's going to have to throw, and that's why I chose the over. So that's it. Oh, and we're tied Last game, we both didn't do very well, but I ended up doing one better. So I brought us back to a tie, 42-36. And what do you think about the game? Are you picking the game now?
Yeah, let's pick the game. You want me to go first, or you want to pick first?
Yes, because I have no idea what I'm gonna say.
All right, man. I'm gonna pick a Vikings win. I'd be more nervous about it if the game was in LA. I think that it being moved to Glendale does help the Vikings. And right now it's a 3-point spread. Essentially, Vikings favored 2.5. So I'm gonna call it a close game like that. I think it's gonna be close like that. I'm gonna say Vikings 24, Rams 21. Reichard hits the walk-off field goal as time expires.
That'd be good. I'm going 27. I'm going 27-20. Going 27-20. I just feel like it. O'Connell's got him bouncing back. He's ironed out. Sam's got rid of his nerves. I think we're fine in this game, especially now that it's not at LA. I feel a little better that it's in Arizona. That players staying at home and then just driving to the stadium on Sunday is different than staying in a hotel. And that's what the Rams got to do now too. So that kind of just put it a little bit in our favor, I think. I did notice that Dusty Baker put out how bad we've been on grass until O'Connell, and now we're like 13-3 on grass. So I feel better about that. Last time, in knock on wood, this doesn't happen again. With Greg Joseph missed a field goal in like 2000, I forget what year. Missed a field goal and we lost the game. It would have been a game-winning field goal and we missed it against Arizona. But that's not going to happen because Skoldock says he's going to kick it to win the game this time.
Yep.
And the game will be tied. So if he does miss it, we'll go to overtime where we'll score a touchdown.
That's right.
Any last words, man?
No, man. Nothing to do now but wait and hope that we get some redemption, a chance of redemption in Philly.
And stay tuned for our winning show on Tuesday after we beat the Rams.
Yes, sir. Skol Vikes.